You're listening to a podcast by the Perennial Leader Project. Welcome to another edition of Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. We've made it to day 33, where we're exploring what it means to live an intentional life. Today's passage comes from the Meditations of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He wrote to himself, "We ought to consider not only that our life is wasting away daily, and a minor part of it is left, but another thing also must be taken into account, that if a man should live longer, it is quite uncertain whether the understanding will continue sufficient for the comprehension of things, and retain the power of contemplation, which strives to acquire the knowledge of the divine and the human. We must make haste, then, not only because we are daily nearer to death, but also because the conception of things and the understanding of them cease first." And this passage is adapted from Meditations 3.1. The shortness of life and the uncertain nature of the world is definitely a consistent theme in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius points out to himself, which is something important to keep in mind when reading Meditations, that we don't know what the future holds, at least with much certainty. And because the future lies in uncertainty, we should avoid, quote, wasting away daily, as he put it. Interestingly, at first glance, being mortal or living in an uncertain world may seem like an unfortunate predicament. But what if we need limitations to live a, quote, good life? In my conversation with the philosopher Dean Rickles, author of Life is Short, he explained, quote, "The game of life must contain boundaries, and a good thing too. While we are seemingly squeezed by our lack of unlimited possibilities, i.e., our short lives, an unlimited being is squeezed in other ways. It would simply not have any means to enjoy a meaningful existence as we do. It's an existence as boring as the game with no rules, in which there is nothing to act against and nothing to act for." Unquote. There is a tendency to think of, quote, limitations as something that hinders life, but that's a mistake. It's important to remember that limit gives birth to freedom and the capacity to live an intentional life. Consider reflecting or journaling on what it means to live intentionally in daily life. Thank you for listening to Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. I hope you found something useful for daily life. If you enjoy what we're doing here and want to support the project, consider becoming a Perennial Meditations member. And finally, as always, I urge you to put what you heard into practice. Until next time, be wise and be well.